And now, Move the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Move the Sticks. DJ and Bucky back with you. And Bucky, we got so much stuff to get to today. I said last week I thought it was our best show, and I think it's going to be beat by what we have. Look at this, man. We've got unbelievable shows set up.
We do have an unbelievable show, but I mean, I think it's going to be hard to beat the '90s R&B.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was an audio, by the way. If you haven't checked out this is an audio podcast from last week. You can find it on iTunes, NFL.com/podcast. We did tie together some R&B with some draft prospects. You need to go check that one out.
You need to check that out. And I just found out I got an email. Hit my email box. How about a Bobby Brown Jagged Edge concert?
When is that going down?
I don't know. Sometime in L.A.
Ooh, I like that.
I saw that.
All right, tell everybody what we got coming up, Buck. This is a jam-packed episode.
Great show. So we're going to talk about the NFC and AFC South perfect pairings. We also have the draft sleepers, our red star prospects centered around the defensive tackle position, and we'll wrap up with a little MTS Bracket winner announcement.
Yeah, we do. Our bracket is complete. We do have a winner. We'll get you that at the end of the episode. But let's jump right in here, Bucky. Perfect pairs is where we try and find two players with the first two picks for each team that would be a perfect fit for that team in the draft. We'll start out here, NFC South, and you're up first here, Bucky. The Buccaneers, they picked 9 and 39 last year, last place in the division, 6 and 10, but a lot of young talent on this team.
A lot of young talent. The offense is really coming together. Jameis Winston, you have the weapons on the outside. They re-signed Doug Martin, so you feel good about that side. They need to bring that defense up to snuff to give them a chance to compete. I believe they have to address the pass rusher position and have to look at cornerback. So as a pass rusher, I'm going to go with Shaq Lawson. Shaq Lawson coming from Clemson. Guy's an edge rusher, a guy that can set the edge on the run game, but also has some nice hand skills. Love the way he's combative at the point of attack. Does a great job of winning with a variety of techniques. He is going to be a guy that I think is really going to be a double-digit sack artist at the next level.
I go Tamba Ali with my comp there.
That's a nice comp.
He's not quite as explosive as Tamba was coming out, but just kind of square power rushers, similar in that regard.
Love the way he uses his hands, and when you hear Joey Bosa talk about Tamba Ali's hand skills, I can see that comparison because he has some of the best hands. He and Joey Bosa in terms of being able to play with technique. They do a great job at the point of attack when they're there.
All right, pick number 39 to pair up with Lawson. You got who?
I'm going to go with Artie Burns, cornerback from the University of Miami, a guy that's really getting snipped late. Super explosive athlete. Like in high school, this guy was a 3-time state champion in 110-meter hurdles, continued to run track at Miami. Hurdle guys are the best athletes on most track teams. And so when you look at that kind of athleticism playing in the secondary, I think he's long, he's rangy, does a great job getting his hands on the ball. 6 interceptions last year to lead the ACC. He is a guy that I think would be a nice fit in Mike Smith's defense because they can play a lot of zone, a lot of cover two, put their hands on people, and then fall back and find their eyes on the quarterback. He should be good at that.
No, he can go get the ball back. I wish he was a little bit more physical. That would be my one concern there with Burns. His size, he doesn't really play to that at all times, especially in the run game.
Yeah, now he needs to be a guy that kind of mixes it up a little bit more, but in terms of the prototype, the physical dimensions, he certainly has all those things to kind of come off the board right there at 39.
All right, next up here, I'm on the board here. The Saints 7 and 9 last year. Got to find them a couple players, picks 12 and picks 47. Let's start off at pick 12. Let's give him another wide receiver to team up with Brandon Cooks, get some more size. Laquan Treadwell. I think he's going to be there all day long when they pick at 12. That's probably maybe 10 the Giants would consider him, but I think he will be there. Give them some size, especially down in that red zone. Jimmy Graham no longer there. They missed that last year. I think having some size will really, really benefit Drew Brees, especially when you get down there, red zone and third down.
I think he would be good. I think he'd be a perfect replacement for Marcus Colston. I can see him doing a lot of the similar things that Colston did in the slot, being able to work the middle of the field, being able to be a factor in the red zone. It should be good. I like their two young players on the outside, Cooks, Chet, Snead. Those guys being able to win one-on-one on the outside, but to create space for Laquan Treadwell should be good.
All right, let's go find a pass rusher, and let's go find some blue turf. Kamalei Correa here at pick number 47 is one of my favorite players to watch in the draft out of Boise State. Literally does play with his hair on fire. He is fun to watch, man. He's got a lot of production as a pass rusher. You see him, they'll move him around in different areas against the run. He's got some shock in his hands, and he will give you unbelievable effort from the backside to chase and make plays. I'm a big fan of his. I've kind of say he's kind of like a poor man's Clay Matthews, the way he reminds me of him coming out. I think his best football is ahead of him.
No, I think his best football is ahead of him. When you looked at the last 2 years, he's had 19 sacks. He's done a great job of doing a bunch of different things in Boise State's defense. I like the versatility. A creative defensive coordinator can kind of use him and move him around to really enhance their sub package. He is a good player. He's one of those guys that we kind of talk about being a sleeper, but I find more and more people talking about him. So I don't know if he's a sleeper.
I think he's going to, I think he will go right in that range. Pick 47 or before, high second round. All right, Atlanta Falcons, Bucky, pick 17, pick 50, 8-8 football team last year. Give him some help.
Dan Quinn has to continue to get this defense to play faster, more athletic, more explosive, to be able to create the turnovers. Darren Lee is a guy, to me, that is a perfect fit at that weak side linebacker position. See ball, get ball, defense, explosive athlete, has great instincts, has the versatility that you look for, being able to get home and get to the quarterback, but also is rangy enough to play in the slot and to cover those receivers. You get him with his reactions, I think the defense plays faster, and now you begin to have a defense that looks like the defense that Quinn left when he left Seattle.
Yeah, run and hit player. Plays like he's 215, 220 pounds, almost 240 pounds. So
I'm surprised at how big he is.
Oh, yeah. He's a fun player to watch. All right, pick number 50. They're going to double down on defense?
I think they will double down. And, you know, a lot of the focus in the offseason has been on, oh, they need to get a pass rush. But I'm going to say they can go inside. Rashad Hageman has been an up-and-down player. I think they go inside. They add a guy like a Kenny Clark from UCLA. Athletic, versatile, can play multiple positions along that defensive line. When I go back and I look at Quinn, what Quinn was able to do with the Seahawks, it was having a lot of players up front that could move around and do a bunch of different things. Kenny Clark is a guy that could do that for the Falcons.
Team him up with Grady Jarrett, another young player.
Yep.
We liked last year. All right, Bucky, let's move on now. The team that won this division, the Carolina Panthers, pick 30, pick 62. At pick 30, I'm going to go ahead and give him Carl Joseph, the safety from West Virginia. I know he's coming off the injury. He's one of our favorites we talk about in this draft class. Kind of, again, a poor man's Earl Thomas in that he's a little bit undersized, but he plays bigger than that. He's got unbelievable range from the middle of the field. He's got ball awareness, and he will knock you out if he gets the opportunity over the middle of the field. He is a stud. He's one of my all-time guys just in terms of you watch him, and some guys you can just tell, even there's no volume when you're watching tape. But this guy brings energy and excitement to a defense.
He brings energy. This is a defense that obviously plays like one of the best defenses in football. In the back end, though, they've been lacking. Had Roman Harper back there. Kirk Coleman has been good the last 2 years. But I still feel like they need an energetic player. Trey Boston has come in, but is not quite the guy. I like where he goes.
All right, and the next pick, you see him here. Carl Nassib with the second-round pick number 62. One of the most skilled pass rushers, ultra productive. Everybody knows the story about him. His brother, the quarterback that's with the Giants that played at Syracuse. But this is somebody that walked on at Penn State, has had to earn his way and really blossomed late in his career. 6 foot, almost 6'7". He's got long arms. He knows how to use them. He gives him some more edge rush to team up with those stud D tackles they have.
You know, blue-collar guy off the edge, can team with Coney Ely, but the value that he brings to the table, he doesn't have to jump right in. They brought Charles Johnson back, so Charles Johnson can still start on that left defensive inside, allow Nassib to kind of work his way into the rotation before he gets in there. They need to find another young pass rusher. This could be the guy that answers that problem.
All right, let's move on now. That's the NFC South. Let's go AFC South. You're up, and the team you're talking here, the Titans, hold the first overall pick and the 33rd pick.
Quarterback-driven league, we want to make sure that Marcus Mariota is protected. That's the priority. So it's easy for me with the number one pick. We hand in the card as Laramie Tunsil. We're going to put him in at left tackle. We'll move Taylor Lewan to the right side, and I'm going to make sure that my quarterback doesn't get beat around like he got beaten up last year. Tunsil is a natural player. He's a guy that I think will shut down explosive pass rushes off the edge. There he had like a little holding call.
I know. That's by the way, Laramie Tunsil has so many unbelievable plays across the network.
Video.
That's our video.
But that's fine. I love his footwork. I love his balance and body control. It just makes the game very easy. You've compared him. We've talked at length about Jason Peters. That's who I believe he can be early in his career.
All right, pick 33.
I'm going to go with Von Bell. Von Bell from Ohio State, an ultimate traffic cop. Great communicator, great understanding of concepts and awareness. Does a great job running from numbers to numbers as a range player. I would like to see more physicality, a little more toughness, but in terms of having the prototype to play in the back end, he is that guy because his footwork and awareness and hand skills, he has everything that you look for at that.
Yeah, I'd like to see him just be a little more stout in between the tackles.
Yep.
I think he's good in the alley, takes great angles. He's a player I think has the ability to cover in the slot, can give you some versatility there. Let's move on. Jacksonville Jaguars, 5th pick, 38th pick. This is a team 5-11 last year. Offense looks good, Buck. Got a nice nucleus to build around. This is going to be about the defense in this draft. At pick number 5, let's go Miles Jack. Somebody I think we all have him going there in these mock drafts. The last one I just switched it up and said, okay, let's just do a scenario where he's not there. I just have a hard time thinking they would pass on him with all that he brings to the table.
A very talented player. I mean, naturally instinctive, does a great job of moving around and making plays. If he's healthy, we're talking about him being one of the top players at the top of the draft, 1, 2, or 3, because he's that kind of disruptive playmaker. You bring him in, add him to that defense, the Jaguars' defense gets much better.
All right, I got him at number 5 going to the Jags. Then at pick 38, they come back. They double down on defense. They go corner. Xavier Howard is somebody from Baylor who, when he ran at the combine, Bucky, I was shocked because he looks like he's very twitched up and explosive when you watch him on tape. Didn't run well in Indianapolis. Then he goes back to his pro day. I think he ended up running high 4.3s. And okay, that's kind of the guy that I saw. But he's big. He's got some ball skills. He's a little bit more fluid than some of the other guys that have that same size in this draft class. I think he'd be a good fit for them.
Should be a very, very good fit. They want to get better on the outside. They would like to have someone that can man their right cornerback position, allow them to kick Aaron Coleman inside to play nickel. He could be a guy that could do it. You look at the corners that Gus Bradley had when he was in Seattle. We just keep referring to Seattle, but that's where those guys would come from. Long, rangy guys that can put their hands on people and disrupt them.
All right, let's move on now. You're up next here, Bucky. The Indianapolis Colts, pick 18, pick 48. 8-8 football team last year, although Andrew Luck missed a good chunk of the season.
He did miss a good chunk of the season. And with this pick, the Indianapolis Colts fans are going to be unhappy with me on day one. Draft night, day one, we have to get through it. They're going to be unhappy. But I'm going to say they go get Leonard Floyd. Okay. Leonard Floyd at 18 because they need to find a pass rusher. You're older, Robert Mathis on one side, Trent Cole on the other. You need to find someone who can do it. And even though at this point his production doesn't match his potential, there's no denying his athleticism and what he potentially could bring to the table. He would be a nice fit as an edge rusher for the Colts.
Yeah, he's one that's tough to find a comparison for because some of the comparisons I don't like in terms of the size. I think he's a better player than Mingo. I think he's going to be better than Deion Jordan. All right, let's move on. Now, pick number 48. Where are you going?
I'm going to go your guy, Jermaine Ifedi, because now we want to make sure that we get Andrew Luck protected. We can bring Ifedi in, put him at right tackle. Now I feel better about Anthony Costanzo, Ifedi at right tackle. Andrew Luck is protected. We're going to get back to running the football, hopefully more effectively. And
make sure dude,
the franchise quarterback is still there and able to play all 16 games.
That is a big dude. I'm an Ifedi fan. I like that pick. All right, Buck, let's move on. Team won the division. Houston Texans picks 22 and 52. And when you give Brock Osweiler the money that they gave him, Bucky,
all about him.
They need to make this draft about him being successful and getting this offense more explosive. And I think at pick 22, Corey Coleman gives him an opportunity to do that. From Baylor, this is a vertical stretch wide receiver. We say it every time, Buck. What are the four routes?
Hit,
slant, post, go. That's it. But
very simple.
He can do some damage there in this offense. Put him opposite DeAndre Hopkins. He'll have time to learn the rest of the route tree, and you can do your damage getting over the top. He's going to see a lot of single coverage, and he can make them pay for that.
He's absolutely going to make them pay because all the attention has to go to DeAndre Hopkins. You have Lamar Miller in the backfield, plenty of one-on-one opportunities in the passing game for Corey Coleman on the backside. We talk about the four routes. His ability to get vertical. If he's able to create a handful of explosive plays, it opens up that offense, makes life easier for Brock Osweiler.
And somebody I think is just going to get better year 2, year 3. You're going to really see it pay off there with Coleman. All right, pick number 52, stay offense. Give another weapon here, tight end Tyler Higbee. And Tyler Higbee out of Western Kentucky. You hear some rumblings about maybe some medical stuff that has popped up on him. More so probably just the amount of time he's missed throughout his career that can be a little bit of a red flag. But when you watch him on tape, Buck, this is somebody that's got a lot of juice, a lot of explosiveness, and he'd be a nice weapon to kind of gash people down the seam, down the middle of the field.
Kind of reminds me of Travis Kelce in
terms
of his ability to catch the ball and make things happen with the ball in his hands. You bring him to the table, you give him an opportunity to get vertical and make those vertical stretch plays right there. The Texans' offense needs to be a little more dynamic in terms of their ability to create explosive plays. Higbee, Coleman, that is a nice haul. I think you feel good about that if you Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, this next season, look, you go into the season with the goal of winning the Super Bowl, but next year, really, they need their quarterback, Brock Osweiler, to kind of justify that contract that they just gave him. I got to believe this draft's about giving him some more weapons.
It has to be. The defense is in place. You have to get the offense up to snuff. Bill O'Brien understands that they need to get the quarterback position solved, so why not give him enough ammunition to be able to be a big-time playmaker?
Tired, Buck?
No, I'm good.
Because we can talk some sleepers.
Oh, here we go.
It's about that time. We need to go a little bit deeper. Let's go a little bit deeper here. And I'm looking at this list, by the way. I got to be honest with you, Bucky. I'm trying to dig deep here.
No.
Your sleepers are they're very close to the surface.
Yeah, but
Very close.
They're very close to the surface, but I feel like these guys aren't getting talked. Maybe because on some of our shows and our programming, we kind of talk about the same guys over and over.
Yeah.
I just want people to be aware of some of these.
So I'm going sleep. You're going underappreciated.
I mean, you're going way underground.
I go deep, man.
Yeah, you're going way underground. I can tell that you've had a lot of extended time in your office to dig through tape. Because these names that you're
I'm going to drop some on you. But I'm going to let you go first. Here. Give me a sleeper.
Okay, I'm going to go to Rutgers. I'm going to go wide receiver Leonte Carew as a sleeper. And look, he was on the national team. He made an appearance at the Senior Bowl. People had a chance to see his route running on full display. This is a guy that I love, his stop-start quickness, his ability to make plays with the ball in his hands. He is not the fastest, but he's problematic because I think he's almost unguardable when he has one-on-one opportunities. Had several coaches say, this is my guy. You talk about those red star guys. Have had a lot of people affix red stars to this guy in terms of being able to come in as a number 3 receiver and give you immediate impact.
Yeah, he's tough. He's physical. He's a good route runner. And we talked about that Senior Bowl early in the week when he was healthy.
Wearing people out one-on-one.
He was getting after people. So definitely helped himself down there. But, see, I got to go deeper, Buck.
I know.
I got to go to Western Michigan, and I don't even know, do we have tape here? My man Daniel Braverman, my wide receiver.
Oh,
this guy's fun to watch. Now, this is somebody that
I had a lot of people problems.
I had people reach out to me in the personnel circle and say, okay, you got to watch this dude, but just kind of keep it on the hush. Don't need to really pump this dude up. Let's keep him under the radar. Then all of a sudden, I started seeing reports. There's like 5 or 6 receiver coaches working this dude out, and I think our Lance's Earline even wrote something about him. So I called my dude back. I'm like, man, come on. You got to let me talk about this dude. Everybody knows about this guy.
It's no surprise.
But he is fun. He is in the slot. People do not get a hand on him. And he went up against Ohio State. You want to see how he does in big-time competition. He catches a vertical from the slot, gets over the top of them, made all kinds of plays in that game. I think he's somebody, Bucky, that everybody goes into it and you watch him and you go, this is kind of my sleep. This is my dude. 6th, 7th round, we're going to get him. And I'm saying,
it's not going to happen.
He ain't going to be there.
It's not
He's going to be gone by then.
It's not going to happen. Talented player. Guy that gave a lot of big-time corners fits with his quickness, his suddenness. Love the way he's just a real skilled route runner, and it's hard to find those guys. I know we go for the athletes and the body beautiful guys early, but when it comes to precision, those guys have a tendency to go from the 3rd round to the 5th round. You know how we always talk. This guy's a good player.
We always try and go with the comps. We try and not stay on racial lines. Try and go across that barrier, right?
Yep.
I couldn't find one, man. I was trying to find one for him, and I finally, after I'm just combing through all these names, like previous reports and previous. Screw it. Cole Beasley. It is. That's just who he is, man. I can't. I try.
Cole Beasley. The thing is, I think he's a more explosive version. I think he's better than Cole Beasley because I think Cole Beasley in Dallas benefits from being around Dez and those other guys. I believe this is a standalone guy. I think you can put him in other places. He doesn't have to be surrounded by a dominant player like a Dez to get open. I like his route running ability.
Just that quickness.
Imagine
at the very top.
If he went to New England or something like that. Like he's a perfect fit for what they typically do use in the slot. The Amendolas, the Edelmans, the other guy, the Troy Browns before those guys. I mean, he's a nice player.
Ooh, hey, hold up. That's it. Troy Brown. Troy Brown's going to allow me to make that comparison across the divide. Thank you very much. Okay, now I'm good. I'm writing it down right now. Troy Brown. When you watch our draft coverage on NFL Network and Braverman gets picked, you will see a Troy Brown comparison tape, and this is where it was birthed. All right, let's go on here. Next one. Who you got, Buck?
TJ Green from Clemson. Now, this will be a guy that some will categorize as a workout wonder because he really made a splash.
Blew up the combine.
Big appearance. But I had a chance to watch him during the year, watching the ACC championship game against North Carolina. He was coming downhill with bad intentions. He is a big hitter, a thumper. And then when you add the athleticism, being able to run low in the 4.4 range, below the 4.4 range.
4.37
I mean, being able to run around and fly and the movement skills, added with the ability to hit and play in the box, easy to get excited about him because when you're selling these guys in the war room, he can check all the boxes when it comes to the athleticism, the size, and then the physicality that you see on tape.
The thing that's interesting about him, my first exposure was a national championship game. No bueno.
Yeah.
Not good.
He played so good against North Carolina.
But I watched the North Carolina game, and they actually had him spy the quarterback a couple times.
And he drilled the quarterback very early.
Yeah, I saw that play. But the interesting thing about him is his name keeps coming up in league circles, right? And so I didn't love him as a high safety. So I'm like, man, there's like buzz about this dude going in the 1st round. Like, what am I missing? So I made some calls, and they're like, they're working him out at corner.
Oh, I can see
And
that.
I'm like, whoa, he never played it, right? No, he's never played corner. But teams like Arizona's bringing him in.
Mm-hmm.
You look at teams, again, we talk about Seattle and Jacksonville, Atlanta, who now has that influence. So you're like, okay, this kid's big, he's long, he's fast. He's a great athlete. Let's just work him in at corner.
So I'm gonna go because I'll use myself as the litmus test to reveal like why those teams would be fascinated that. In Green Bay under Ron Wolf, I was a wide receiver signed by the Green Bay Packers, but doing that workout that they brought me in, let's just see you backpedal a little bit, you're a little longer, whatever. And sometimes when you can find an athlete who may not be a polished player, but you can say, you know what? If we play bump and run, we really can allow him to utilize what he really brings to the table. He's long, he's rangy, he runs fast in a straight line.
He can locate the ball.
He can locate the ball. That is enough to be able to play out there. And depending on how your scheme is, if you play nose to nose, you eliminate all the other stuff. He doesn't have to have great feet when it comes to transitioning and breaking driving. So the fact that you're talking about TJ Green being a corner, that is a nice possibility. And that's some of the scout work that people do during this time of year.
It'd be interesting because, as a pure safety, I don't have him in my top 50. Now, this is a sleeper deal here. I mean, he's going to go in the top 50 picks. He could go in the bottom of the first round. But, I mean, I think it'll surprise people when that card gets turned in.
It may say corner. Yeah.
Could be the case. All right. That's a nice one. I'm going to go, though, again, I'm going to go deep. I'm going to go Matt Judon from Grand Valley State. I got to go a little bit deeper here, Bucky. Pass rusher, you wanted some production. He gives it to you in bunches. And I always talk about when you pop on tape, I've said this many times, when you're watching lower level of competition, don't look up the number of the prospect. Just turn on the tape, and if you can't figure out who he is within 5 or 6 plays, he's not a dude.
Right.
Now you're watching my man go kamikaze, just
Superman
jumping on top
over
of
the
people.
top.
He was easy. He identified himself right away. Ultra productive. He's by far the most athletic and most physical guy on that field, and they had no answer for him in just about every single game that I watched. I mean, he's a menace, and somebody I don't know when he goes. I would guess, could maybe as high as a 4th round. Might end up being a 6th round pick, but I like him a lot.
Pass rushers can be found in all areas of the draft, and the one thing that translates typically in the pro world, guys who get sacks at the collegiate level continue to get sacks somehow in the pro level. And when you look at his long, distinguished history of being able to be a sack producer, it leads me to believe that he's going to be very productive off the edge. He is a nice player.
All right, let's get one more round here, Bucky. Who you got?
Jonathan Williams from Arkansas. I know it's not a sleeper because we've talked about him, but Jonathan Williams is kind of under the radar because he didn't really play in 2015. Gained 1,000 yards in 2014, split time with Alex Collins. And I believe that you could say that he's a better player than Alex Collins when you look at the tape. His footwork,
more
explosiveness, has swivel hips, being able to get skinny. He is a guy that, as an evaluator, you like running backs to have low mileage when they come into the league. Doesn't have a lot of tread on the tire. He is going to be a guy that could be a very, very good find for somewhere in those middle stages of the draft.
I like that one. I do. I like him better than Alex Collins. I have him as, my 5th running back, I want to say, somewhere around there. I think he's somebody that could hear his name called as early as the late 2nd round. Mm-hmm. I don't think, I'd probably put the floor at the 4th round. He's going to go somewhere in that area. All right, Bucky, I got to go again, and I'm going to go another smaller school.
I like
this dude, though, this dude's the real deal now. Ryan Smith from North Carolina Central is a corner. Somebody that tested really, really well when you watch him go through the field work and everything. He's phenomenal. He's very, very fluid, Buck. We talk about being good in transition. We kind of throw these phrases around. Sometimes I feel like we need to explain that a little bit. Being that's your domain, I'll let you explain what that means.
Smooth in transition, meaning you can go from a back pedal to breaking up, going forward on something in front of you, being able to turn and run on deep balls, being able to execute some of the basics of the cornerback position. Ryan Smith certainly can do that. Playing at a smaller school, North Carolina Central, may not have faced elite competition, but when you look at the tape and see how easy it is for him, how he gets his hands on the ball and makes some plays on the perimeter, it's easy to kind of pencil this guy in as a guy that, okay, I'm going to keep my eye on him. We start thinking about the 4th round and those guys that can come off the board. He could be a name that we hear.
Yeah, I would take him in the 3rd round. I'm a big fan of his. And the first tape I watched was Duke. So anytime you're watching a small school player,
those are the big
games. That's the game you watch. You start
with
with that and say, okay, does he make plays? Does he look the part? Does he belong on that field? And he excelled in that football game. It was actually a penalty. It didn't count. But you see him cut off a deep ball, go up and get the football, and I was in. So I'm a big Ryan Smith fan. It's a premier position. He's got a lot of traits you look for. So somebody I think I wouldn't be shocked, Bucky, early third round if he ended up going off the board. He's talented.
Whenever that run goes, the run on corners, when it goes, people have a tendency to kind of rush those guys up the board because you want to make sure you get a good one because there's a huge disparity between those top guys and those guys that are at the bottom of the board.
I didn't put him on. That's the end of our little sleeper segment here. There's so many other guys. Watched a corner from Samford that was at the combine. Braverman, He's a good player. It's good. Every now and then you get certain positions at the smaller level. Like this year, we've got some edge rushers. Ronald Blair's a guy from App State, where I went to school, who's productive. Had a couple sacks in the Clemson game. He's somebody I think could probably go in the 4th, 5th round. There's just a lot of edge rushers at small schools this year, and there's a good crop of corners as well.
You can find those. Those guys have traditionally played in the league. Courtney Finnegan being a guy that came from a small school. The list goes on and on. Robert Alford, Southeast Louisiana. You can find corners that can have a tremendous amount of success in the league because it's been proven. So you're not as hesitant or reluctant to take a gamble on a smaller school guy on some of those perimeter spots because we've seen guys have success.
No question. All right, Bucky, that's going to wrap up our draft sleepers. We'll try and reintroduce that as we go towards the draft. Get some new names out there for you guys.
I'll dig a little deeper.
You're going to go deeper. Yeah, this was more underappreciated.
I only send the elevator to like the 2nd floor. I'll go a little deeper. I may get to the 4th floor, like underground parking.
Yeah, you just went underappreciated though. by the way, underappreciated is similar along the lines of most improved. Remember that? Remember that award as you were a kid?
Yeah.
It was the worst. Who wants to be the most improved? That just means you sucked at the beginning and you're a little bit better at the end of the year.
But they recognize that you put in a little work.
Can I go quick side story real quick?
Yeah, go quick.
So we had this dude that I went to high school with. He was a great baseball player. He got drafted, I don't know, in the 30-something round or whatever. But he went and played JUCO, and then I think he ended up quitting at that point in time. But he was our best player on our team by far. But our baseball coach didn't really like him. So we get to the banquet, and they're handing out the awards at the baseball banquet. So he gives some other dude like the MVP. And he gives him most improved. So he drives his truck, right? So banquet ends. This was like my 3rd sport, so I don't care. I don't get anything. So I get out of the parking lot, and he's in front of me in his truck. So he's driving. All of a sudden, I just see this plaque just go flying out the window. It's for most improved. He's like, what am I going to do with this thing? Just chucked it right out. I almost drove off the road because I was laughing so hard. Nobody wants most improved. Anyways.
That's funny.
All right, Buck. We've been cranking out our 360 series this year, which we're doing a little bit differently. Last year, we took the quarterbacks and just really did a deep dive into those quarterbacks. This year, we're bringing in a lot of prospects into our studio, sitting in the chair right next to you. And what we're doing is we're getting a chance to let you evaluate the tape of the player and have that discussion with them. But then we're also putting some NFL tape on the screen and letting the prospect kind of do some scouting himself. And we've had a lot of big names through there, including the Heisman winner in Derrick Henry, who was just here. And I think we're actually going to release his full video from the Derrick Henry 360 series today. But I thought maybe we just give everybody at home a little snippet of what took place there. We've gone back in time a little bit, got some old school running backs who have your kind of combination of size, speed, and power.
Right.
And so the first one we're going to take a look at here, Bucky, I believe we got some Brandon Jacobs.
How about that? Now, you familiar with Brandon Jacobs?
Yeah.
Long time ago, New York Giants running back. Big physical back.
All right, tell me a little bit what you see here from this big boy.
If I can get like an end zone, I feel like.
Yeah, they don't give us the all 22 on here, so we got to go old school TV copy here.
He got north to south, and then finished behind his pass. That's how you supposed to run the ball. And I don't know about the dancing part. But so made this read outside. Oh,
you got that club in your bag?
You got that tool in your toolbox. You got a little leap.
Yeah, I definitely will.
All right, there's another running back, by the way. Is a guy that Bucky played against.
We'll go old school. We can go all the way back 90s, early 2000s. There was a back at Tennessee, Eddie George.
Oh yeah, Eddie George. I definitely know who this is. Heisman brother.
Woo!
That's one of the nice moves. Finish behind his pass. That's right.
How hard is it for somebody that's tall like you are to be able to get crouched down, be able to put a shoulder on somebody?
That's the only thing. Is you're so tall, so the main thing is just running behind your pass and running low. You gotta be able to bend.
How about that? You do a little bit of this Alabama, huh?
Oh yeah.
Little tall sweep. Tall sweep.
Definitely like that.
Yeah, so when we looked at those guys, we saw like we're always in the comparison business when we're scouting because you're trying to paint a picture. And so these guys stood out to us as guys that you could probably evolve to. Who's someone that you look at on Sundays that you look at and say, you know what, I'm going to pattern my game after him?
Well, I feel like everybody has their own unique style, and nobody's the same. But, I really love watching Adrian Peterson and Marshawn. They just run the ball hard.
Run angry.
They run and play the game the right way. And I feel like those are the old school backs. Everybody wants the little scat backs and all type of this, but I feel like that's what football. That's what football is. It's old school, pound you. So you got to stop me. So that's what I like.
All right, there's a little snippet there. You got a taste there of our 360 series. Some of the prospects we've had roll through here, Bucky: Noah Spence from Eastern Kentucky, Jaron Reed from Alabama, Shaq Lawson from Clemson, Cardale Jones and Von Bell from Ohio State, and you just saw Derrick Henry. And that video will be up, by the way. So you can get on our NFL channel on YouTube, pump in, move the sticks, and you can see this entire series. Watch all these guys.
It's great having some of these guys in to be able to pick their brain a little bit, to kind of assess their football IQ and what they think of themselves and how they hope to take their game to another level when they become pros.
And it is something, when you get to know these players, I don't allow it to affect my grade too much, but there are certain guys that come in, like Shaq Lawson. He was so impressed. I fell in love with the kid. I ended up giving him maybe 2 spots. Maybe moved him up 2 spots.
Moved him up a little bit. You hooked him up a little.
I like the guy. I think you buy into the person, because you're not just drafting a player. You're drafting the person. And you get a chance to visit with these guys. You do it in scouting as well. There's certain guys. That guy's, he's going to make it. He's going to be all right.
And that's the different part, because on this side, we're looking at film. Sometimes we don't get to interact with the kids, so it makes it tougher to have conviction because you don't know those guys. But when you get to know them, it's easier to stand up on the table and say this guy's going to make it because he has all the right stuff on the inside.
And we still have, 3-4 weeks more before the draft.
Yes.
So we'll have a bunch more guys circling through here. That list of players will continue to grow and expand. You can check that out again, youtube.com/NFL, and pump in the Move the Sticks there. You'll find this entire series. A lot of fun. All right, Bucky, let's move on now to our Red Star prospect of the week. And, again, explain, we do it a lot here. I think this is our 5th position or so that we've done. What is the Red Star?
Red Star basically tells everyone in the building, this is who I'm willing to put my name on. He's going to make it despite whatever qualities he has or doesn't have. He's going to find a way to have success in the league. I'm willing to endorse him. In essence, it's standing on the table saying, this is my guy. That's what the Red Star thing means to me.
It's basically an I'm Bucky Brooks or I'm DJ, and I endorse this message.
I absolutely endorse.
That's what we're doing. So I'll let you go up first here. Your Red Star at the defensive tackle position. You're going to put your stamp on this guy. Who is it?
I'm going to put my stamp on Kenny Clark from UCLA. This is probably the deepest and most talented defensive tackle class we've seen in some time. He's kind of fallen under the radar, but when you watch him on tape, he certainly stands out. Powerful player at the point of attack, does a great job playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage. I love his first step quickness. He's very explosive for a bigger guy, moves like a light, nimble guy on the inside. I like his hand skills, good with hand combat, wins, has an arm over, flashes a swipe move that is nice, and then he plays with a high motor. Watching him at the Foster Farms Bowl against Nebraska, sideline to sideline, he's making plays, doesn't come off the field. He is someone that I think is easy to buy into because he has all the skills that you look for at the position. All
right, Bucky, when you watch him play, a lot of times there's a name you'll put down on your paper and say, okay, this guy reminds me a little bit of this current player that's been successful. Who would you go with there for Kenny Clark's comp?
I'm going to go with Benny Logan from the Philadelphia Eagles. And part of the reason I'm going with that comparison is Benny Logan has been kind of a fixture on that defense. Isn't necessarily the star because you have Fletcher Cox and some of those other guys on that line. But he's a steady Eddie player, a guy that can play the 1, he can play the 3. He has a knack for being able to get in there, kind of quick, kind of sneaky when he gets to being a pass rusher. But he's a guy that is an integral part of that line. I see Kenny Clark being a player like that. Gives it to you as a run defender, also as a pass rusher. I believe this guy is a tremendous value pick. Whether he goes in the 1st or 2nd round, I don't know, but I think he's going to have a tremendous amount of success as he moves forward.
I think I look at him going anywhere from like 25 to 35. I think he'll go late 1st, early 2nd when it's all said and done.
No, I think so. I agree with you. I know there's been some conversation with him in the mid of the 1st round, but he could fall the way out to the middle of the 2nd round. But he's a very, very good player.
All right, a couple questions for you here, Bucky, as I get to my Red Star player at the defensive tackle position. You like blooming onions?
I'm okay with him. I can't have a lot.
It's only like 3,000 calories.
Yeah, I mean, I just
How about Matthew Dellavedova?
Oh, I do like Dellavedova.
Okay, so you do like.
I scrappy. I'm down with some things from down under. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Australian rules football.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
I just want to make sure we're getting there. I'm getting somewhere with this. Adam Godzis is my Red Star defensive tackle from Georgia Tech. The Aussie, Buck, is one of my favorite players to study at this position. I'm going to go ahead and put my stamp on him. I know he's had an injury, but when you watch him play, man, he carries his size well there. Look at that, 6'4", 287 pounds.
He has a shimmy shirt on,
yeah,
a cutoff.
He's rolling it up, old school. Play strength. Look, this guy can bend and hold the point of attack. He's quick. He can play on an edge. He can move inside. I think he's versatile there. Talk about his handwork, and that's one of the key things at that position. You mentioned hand-to-hand combat. He's great with that stuff. And a motor that never stops. Somebody, Bucky, I just think somebody's going to get a heck of a football player. Probably going to get him at a discount because of that injury. I think without the injury, you're talking about him being an early second-round pick. Who knows? Maybe you land him in the 4th round, but this is a very aggressive, productive, and tough football player.
You can't go wrong with tough, productive players on the inside. The versatility, being able to be a factor against the run or the pass. Easy to like those guys. You want to bring those guys to the building because they enhance your depth. They give you an opportunity to field a dominant defense.
Getting a little 225 workout there at the pro day, Buck. It's somebody, look, when you try and find a comparison for him, I think a little bit smaller, just not quite as heavy as Derek Wolfe, but I see some similarities there just in terms of the fanatical effort that they play with. They're really, really good with their hands, and I think they both have that versatility where they can kick inside and beat you rushing inside, or they could also sit out there on the edge and hold the point of attack and kind of be a big, heavy left end if you wanted him to do that as well. I mean, look, Derek Wolfe, somebody probably if you had to do it all over again, wouldn't have signed that contract right before the playoffs started because his line mate there, Malik Jackson, just blew that contract out of the water.
But good player. He and Malik Jackson were able to control and dominate the interior of the entire playoff run. He is someone that won't get the credit of some of his castmates, but his ability to push the pocket on the inside allows Von Miller and Shane Ray and DeMarcus Ware to really hunt easily.
They got the same haircut.
I know.
Thanks for doing that, guys. Made it look even.
Godzis, though, kind of reminds me of who is it? Bull from Night Court.
Oh, he's got to go all the way bald though.
Yeah, close.
Nice night. You dated yourself. Night Court reference there. That's strong. All right, that's going to do it for our Red Star players here. We'll get another position next week, Bucky. Let's move on here before we wrap up. We did finish up the Move the Sticks bracket here, which is something we had an Elite eight prospects. We put it out to you, the fans, to vote for it. Who will have a better career between these matchups? And we had a championship game that was all Buckeye. We had Joey Bosa going up against Ezekiel Elliott. And surprise, surprise, the offensive skill player wins.
Yeah, the skill guy went. I mean, this is an unbelievable run for Ezekiel Elliott. Look at who he knocked off. Jalen Ramsey. Then he knocks off Miles Jack. Goes on to beat Joey Bosa. He earned the title if we had to say this was in a tournament format. It's easy for guys to like him. Talk about a guy who put the Buckeyes on his back on the road to the championship, continues to be a dominant player, dynamic 3-down running back, can run it, can catch it, is also solid in pass protection. Not a lot that Ezekiel Elliott can't do as a dominant player at the position.
Well, this is an award that, again, that was voted by everybody through votes. And I think, man, each and every round we had 30 to 40,000 votes that you guys got in on this contest. So thanks for participating in that. But we never got a chance, Bucky, to say who we think will end up being the best player in this draft. And the way it normally works, if you're saying the guy's going to be the best player in the draft, he's the number one player on your board, right? So, I mean, I know who I've got number one, and I know who you've got number one.
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey, to me, is the guy that's destined to have the best pro career. I buy into the kid because I know he's highly competitive, spends a lot of time diligently working on his craft, and then the athleticism speaks for itself. We saw him blow up the combine. We saw the way that he moves around. He can make multiple plays from multiple spots. And then when you turn on the tape, you see a guy who is active, he's disruptive, does a great job of playing in the middle of the field. And even though the conversation has been about him maybe being a shutdown corner, I think that really takes away from what he does. I believe I want to have him in the middle of the field where he can see ball, he can get the ball, and he can make plays. He is going to be a dominant player, and I don't think that there are enough people talking about how dynamic he can be at the next level.
We in Baltimore, we always talked about the STI, mentioned it a bunch. Speed, toughness, and instincts. If you've got those three things, you got a very high probability of being a good football player at the next level. He checks all three of those boxes.
Yeah, he checks all three of those boxes, but I'm beginning to hear some of our mates, not necessarily at this network, but at other networks, kind of downgrade what he brings to the table. They wonder, he only has 3 interceptions, but you really have to look at the tape and see where he played at. He's not going to make a lot of plays based on how they deployed him. He's a guy that was used as a pass rusher off the edge. He blitzed. He made a lot of plays. And so you have to have an appreciation. You also have a vision for what you want him to do at the next level to take him as a high pick.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I have him now. I ended up making him my 3rd overall player. So I had him at number 2.
Who moved
I
up?
ended up flipping him and Miles Jack.
I can see that.
Just because Miles Jack, I know exactly where I want to play him, what I want to do with him. And I love Jalen Ramsey. I can't argue with you there. That's splitting hairs. But my number 1 overall player, who I think is going to have the best career, I'm going to go with the I think is a safe player, but also a high ceiling player, and that's Laramie Tunsil, the tackle from Ole Miss. He's somebody you can plug in at left tackle immediately at the next level. He's got the feet to be able to cover up elite pass rushers. And I know a lot's been made about him in the run game. Oh, he doesn't do that. Look, he's going to be just fine. He can roll his hips. He's got some shock and torque in his hands, and he just hadn't done it. He hadn't been asked to do it. He'll be just fine in that area.
I think it's easy to teach him being able to be. I think it's easy to teach him to be able to be a good run blocker when he comes with the athletic traits that he does. We saw him in the workout. We saw him at the pro day. He has everything that you look for in the toolbox. He should be good. One thing that I wanted to ask you, because you were talking about the way you reshuffled. If Jalen Smith was healthy, we knew that he would have a full return. Where would he kind of fit in your top 50?
He would be number 2.
Okay.
Yeah. I gave him and Tunsil the same exact grade.
Okay, so you would have him.
But I would still value the left tackle position over the linebacker, so I would end up having him number 2.
I think he's an interesting take. I have him. I want to say I still have him 3 on my list. I mean, everything you see on tape, he can do it all.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of the health situation. I do wonder on draft day, depending on what comes out of the medical recheck, where do you value him?
Mm-hmm.
Do you pull the trigger at the bottom of the first round because you don't think he's going to come around that second time in the second round? I think someone's going to pull the trigger. 25 to 35, I think, is where he goes.
Well, I'm anxious to see what happens with him. I just, because the medical information I got just wasn't good, and I'll wait and see what I find out on the recheck and do some digging. But I didn't know where to slot him in, so I just kind of dropped him out. And, maybe hopefully we'll get some better medical information there on his future because, man, he's a heck of a football player.
Big-time player.
Before we wrap it up, though, Bucky, it's been a fun episode. We said it was going to be jam-packed. It was. A lot of stuff in there. I don't know if you had a chance to see. There's a new video. I know the NCAA tournament, the finals, coming up, and a lot of good basketball players there. Your Tar Heels, congratulations being in the
No, we can't congratulate until we win it.
No, you're there. That's a big deal. It's been a great season.
No, but you say like the most
But the most impressive thing I've seen, I know the Warriors lost a game this last week. We've had some great tournament games. But the most impressive thing I've seen on a basketball court in the last week, you have to go to producer TD's Instagram.
Oh.
He brought the chair back out.
Again?
He brought the chair back out. And I want to say with 5 jumpers.
Hoop his life.
5 jumpers at the very early hour of 10 a.m. He's up grinding.
10 a.m. is not grinding.
I think he ended up
10 a.m. is not grinding.
I think he ended up hitting all 5. All 5 J's. He's back there. He popped in.
10 a.m. is not grinding.
Jump on there, TD. Did you not? It was a good looking. It was a good looking.
That was
video.
a solid workout. It was about 9 a.m. Not that early. 8, 9 a.m.
Grinding, no G.
I need you to get in the gym at 6:30 if we're gonna call it grinding. If you're gonna hashtag grinding.
I didn't do hashtag grinding. I didn't do rise and grind.
Here's what's coming. I'm just gonna give you. Look, we're both slammed right now as we get ready for the draft. But you know those videos online where you can find them where they do the parodies, where the dudes are impersonating.
Yep.
I'm gonna parody TD's workout on a video, and I will send that out once I get some time in the off season.
Can we get a shooting contest? Can we get like a move?
Oh no,
sticks?
I don't want. No. There's a ringer back there.
Can we get
there's
a
ringer
move the
back
sticks?
there.
No. We're not gonna do free throws.
Free throws no bueno.
Let's do one of those Chef Curry on the shot boy contest. Let's take it deep. See if TD can go in deep water and fire up some threes.
I like it.
I hope he saw Austin Rivers hit 30.
Hey, I told you guys.
Yeah,
Austin
30.
can throw the ball.
He hit 30 the other
I'm
night
still on
against
the Austin Rivers train. He
Oklahoma
can
City.
throw the ball.
Oh gosh.
30.
TD always rolls in like the last 5 minutes of the episode.
I mean, that's what he
knows
does.
I'm gonna get on him a little bit. Anyways, some people at home, by the way, think we're too hard on TD. No, we're not.
No,
we're not. We're too nice.
Easy.
We're way too nice. All right, that's going to do it for us today, Bucky. Again, thanks for everybody checking us out here on YouTube, NFL.com/podcast. You've been listening on iTunes. We appreciate all the ratings and comments you've been giving us. We will see you back next week, not next year, as we march towards the draft.
Thanks for downloading Move the Sticks with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks. For more, go to NFL.com/podcasts.